All right, coming up here on Good Day, capes, masks, and fighting crime. It's a special holiday for comic book fans.
Keith Marler is checking out an event that's giving away free comics.
Coming up after the break, a big day on Saturday. I will tell you where you can get comics like these for free for you and your family. And on top of that, we're going to meet a legendary comic book creator who is responsible for this very famous image from the 90s. Maybe it looks familiar to you. Maybe that ingrained image is from your youth. Maybe you have no idea what I'm talking about. Either way, we're still going to talk to one of the legendary comic creators in the world. Again, free comics, free fun, family excitement, all of it coming up right after this.
Whatever life throws at us, we'll face it together.
All right, Fantastic Four, Superman, the Thunderbolts. Superhero fans have a lot to be excited about this summer, but you don't have to wait to see some of those big heroes on the big screen.
Sure don't. Tomorrow, stores around the country will be giving away free comic books.
Yeah, we sent our resident comic book nerd and expert, Keith Marler, to see a store here in New Hope that's preparing for this weekend's big event.
Free Comic Book Day. That sounds exciting. It's an event that's been around for 23 years now, going back to 2002. It's been something that's been part of my life because, well, I'm a geek. It's something that's been part of my family's life for, well, the past 23 years. And it's something that can be part of your life, too, at least this year if you've never done it. Joining us to talk about this year's Free Comic Book Day, look who we found. It's Mike Wadland, owner and operator and grand poobah of Rockhopper Comics in New Hope here in the Metro. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
Tell us a little bit about Free Comic Book Day. It's been around forever, much like you have in the world of comics.
Yes.
You've been around comics and been working in comic shops since you were a little kid.
Yeah. Yep, since I was 14.
So Free Comic Book Day, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it started about 20 years ago, like you said, in 2002, with the release of Spider-Man.
Oh, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it was a very big movie back then, right? So it's the first Saturday in May.
Always.
Always. And it usually is around a big superhero movie coming out, which also comes out around the same time.
Right.
So this year it's Thunderbolts.
Is that Bucky?
And so every year there's just a lot of excitement. It's kind of a little mini holiday for comic book stores. A lot of people know about it. There's usually lines out the door. Stores have lots of sales, things like that. A lot of excitement about it.
When it comes to free comic books, it's not the comic books in the shop are free. There are specific comic books that are made for this event. And you conveniently have some here to show us. Tell us about what these are. They have a special little masthead and everything else. Each of the publishers, like DC and Marvel and Image, all make special comics just for the event today. Tell us about some of these.
Well, there's a whole bunch of them. Usually they're previews of storylines that are going to be happening throughout the summer. So Marvel has the Ultimate Universe and DC has the Absolute Universe. Both of those are going to be featured in these books. Superman, of course, we have the new Superman movie coming out.
Of course.
So there's a new Superman title coming out. That one right there is going to be a preview of that new title, along with Fantastic Four. That movie is also coming out this summer. There's a brand new Fantastic Four.
It's like they think ahead on these things, don't they?
Right? It's all connected.
Yeah.
There's a brand new Star Wars book coming out, but there's hundreds of free comic book titles spanning all genres, all age groups.
Kids can't come in and take the ones that are a little for grown-ups, and grown-ups just hoard for the little kids. You know, there is some orderly process to all
They
of
do
this.
have a rating system, actually.
And there is a rating system involved. So for grown-ups to have little kids, you know exactly what you're getting. Dan Jurgens joins us to kind of give us a view. You're a writer and an artist. I always refer to you as the man who killed Superman back in the 90s. You're so much more than that, as you've worked for Marvel and from DC. What has the concept of Free Comic Book Day done for not only the big two publishers in the industry, but some of the smaller publishers and for creators as a whole?
Well, Free Comic Book Day really serves to get people who aren't necessarily into comics, into the industry, into a store where they can see a lot of different product, hopefully something that appeals to them, but more than anything, sample a wide array of comics from a wide array of publishers to find out what they like and don't like. And on top of that, the other benefit is most retailers will have big sales. They'll say, you know, here our back stock is on sale, our books are on sale, something like that. So for those of us who are longtime collectors, it's a great time to kind of fill those holes in the collection and build things up.
Well, and we've talked about how, too, this was kind of keyed in early on, the onset of this with the onset of that first Spider-Man movie. And so Free Comic Book Day and comic books have tied in early on with, hey, look, we can make movies about this. And you as a creator have kind of seen that rise with some of your own works being translated onto the big screen. Some of the stuff you created, you've seen some of your creations now and become very popular on very popular movies for both Marvel and DC. How has that rise from a film standpoint kind of tied hand in hand with some of the stuff that's happening now in the comic book industry as a whole?
Well, what used to once be known as something that was a little bit more along the lines of a piece of culture that was meant for, you know, a small segment of people is now popular culture overall.
Yeah.
It is, by way of the movies, by way of the TV shows and everything else, something that is now very much ingrained in our culture. So even if people don't necessarily know who Spider-Man is from reading the comic, they certainly do from the movies. And that's why these characters have all gotten to be so popular, which then brings us full circle back to the stores and Free Comic Book Day. For those folks who have seen the movies but maybe not tried the comics, now is a good time to do it.
All right, Mikey, thank you very much for everything. Good luck on Saturday. I know the crowds will be crazy. If you at home want to find your comic book store, you Google it up. You go to, there's a comic book shop locator online. So if you're watching anywhere in the world, you can find your comic book shop, because things get busy, but sometimes it can get crazy busy, but there are lulls, there are places, there are plenty of sales that make it worthwhile, and those free comics are always worthwhile as well. Good luck, Mike.
Thanks. And remember, comics are for everyone.
Even me.
Even you. More than a half a dozen stores in the metro are participating this weekend. Kind of like Keith alluded to, it's a good idea to check ahead. Just make sure, and you can find it at freecomicbookday.com. You can actually put in your zip code, and it'll show which stores around you are participating.
Could there be more happening this weekend?
I'm
Sorry, just
serious.